Stugotz here. I love stats. I get goosebumps just thinking about QBRs and true shooting percentages. But one stat you need to know is your car battery's charge. Advance Auto Parts will test your battery for free, and if it's low, they'll install a new one with your purchase. And you can save 20% off when you buy online by entering the code DAN20. Then you can get back to pouring over every stat from your favorite sport. Think ahead. Think advance at Advance Auto Parts. The Dan LeBatard Show with Stugotz podcast is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
This is the Dan LeBatard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
He hobbles in here for his 3 hours of work a day, bent over with his back hurting, saying he doesn't know how he hurt his back. And then I'm about to start the show, and what does he do? He decides that's the time he's going to give his opinion to the shipping container about Major League Baseball and said, go ahead, share with the audience so they could see what my eternal suffering feels like.
I was trying to get some clarity on the rule. What I realized was I thought the top wild card team could choose any team in Major League Baseball to play in the playoffs, and that would be great. Can you imagine if they chose the Marlins? I think 1-game scenario, 3-game scenario, 2-game scenario.
You want to tell the audience what you're talking about?
Well, Major League Baseball has proposed a new playoff system where 7 teams would get in. 3 divisional winners, 4 wild card teams. The top wild card team will have its choice of any of the other 3 wild card teams that make the playoffs. I actually like it. I think it's clever. I think it's awesome. But I think that top wild card team should be able to choose from any team.
But you can make it better. You think it's okay?
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, a wild card team.
Why not?
But then that defeats the purpose of making the playoffs as a wild card team.
I mean, it's as dumb as anything you've said.
Yeah, I know. I mean, put 7 teams in, 14 teams. Half the teams are going to make the playoffs in Major League Baseball. I mean, is it really that dumb? I mean.
Yeah, because more than half aren't going to make it. Now you're putting one of them in for no good reason other than the other team wants to play against them. So, yes, it is that dumb.
Let's make a distinction here because it sounds even more confusing. This is per league. This is national and American, so that's 14 total.
Yes, but you guys wouldn't be intrigued if, let's say, the top wild card team is a 90-win
team. Can we discuss what it is versus you leaping already to the place how you can make it better?
Well, I told everyone what it is.
But I'd like to discuss with the group what the proposal is before you. I know you're going to try and fix baseball more than baseball is going to try to fix baseball. I know it's the show you always want to do.
I'm just glad baseball is trying to fix itself. I mean,
you're falling for that. You think that they're going to do this? You don't see what this is. They're trying to get you to forget about the Astros cheating guy. Have you ever heard of the CBA?
It works. I totally forgot about it. I was like,
playoffs. This is never going to happen. This is just, hey, guess what? We're going to try this crazy thing that's never going to get approved 3 years from now or whenever the new CBA is. You guys are so silly.
Man.
Party pooper, man.
What an effective distraction.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
So we're always making the joke around here. This is, this is the time that it's difficult for most sports shows to do a sports show because things slow down. Basketball regular season, we can't talk about pitchers and catchers reporting.
T's and C's.
Football is gone, and so
football is gone. That's a man who hasn't watched the XFL.
He did this on the local hour. He's just disrespecting the XFL left and right. And there's a common theme. It's always the people that don't go out of their way to watch.
Again, you keep saying that, and I keep telling you that I watched. And
did you watch an entire game, start to finish?
Start to finish. Was the sound on? Whistle to whistle, Dan.
So anyway. I mean, that's the standard.
Yeah.
That's the standard. No, I didn't watch it like the Red Zone. It was on the television, and I gave it passing interest because it's minor league football.
Wow.
It's a great idea.
One game on at a time.
Terrible idea.
Yeah. Hopefully next year we have expansion.
Right.
It's this whole one game at a time thing. Although I don't get to miss a single game, which I'm very excited about.
So one of the things that always happens in February, inevitably, is some national sports radio show starts talking about how to fix baseball. It's a 20-year tradition. And now it's baseball that's talking about how to fix baseball. And it is a bit, you remember, Mike, we made the joke many years ago, whatever problem football was having, the solution was always, would you like more games? How about some more games and games that matter? That was always, we'll expand the playoffs. We'll expand the regular season. We'll give you more football somehow. Now baseball's saying, whatever problems it's having, how about more playoff teams? Because it's the last inventive thing that baseball did. Baseball rejects historically anything in the way of change, so much so that the first time that the wild cards made an appearance, a whole lot of people were bent out of shape. No sport likes change less than baseball. But we can't argue that this is an easy one. More playoff teams means the regular season matters more, because we've arrived in a place in 2020 where there are way too many games. In basketball, in baseball, the regular season, you've diluted it so much that there's not a lot of reason to pay attention to game 100.
There are way too many meaningless games. You're right. Yes, they just don't mean anything.
Well, but baseball has twice as many meaningless games as basketball does.
Yes.
And so you want the reason the wild card was smart, and man, Stugotz, I don't know if you remember this, but that idea was rejected, like summarily, by people, traditionalists. The idea of adding wild card teams was rejected. Next to no one liked that idea.
It was rejected by, universally, I feel like, it was rejected by people like me who later on wanted to put Ponds in the outfield.
I know. Well, this is what's happening. Now baseball is sitting here, and baseball is taking a ridiculous Stugotz suggestion. Bounce houses in the outfield, ponds in the outfield, landmines in the outfield. Baseball is sitting here and saying, this sounds like something that Stugotz would invent. As Trevor Bauer calls, Manfred a joke. The solution is add more playoff teams, and also, if you have the best record, you get to choose the playoff team that you play against. It sounds like something I would reject if Stugotz came in here with it on a slow February day.
Why is it ridiculous, though?
I don't think it's ridiculous. I just think baseball, it doesn't normally do the Stugotz things. We talk, Mike, you could play for the audience. Stugotz asking Manfred, before our relationship rapidly deteriorated with the commissioner of baseball, Stugotz asking Manfred all of these ridiculous suggestions.
Our relationship?
And what ends up happening is Manfred goes to one of those things. Manfred says, as Trevor Bauer calls him a joke, Manfred says, hey, wacky playoff proposal. We're going to have 7 teams, and also the highest seed can pick who it plays against. You thought that they threw baseballs at people who disrespected them before. Let them be the team that gets picked by a 1 seed and see how many baseballs get thrown at people. Because it's going to be the first batter of the first game. They're just going to plunk it. How dare you disrespect us? But it's something a teenager would suggest. And I'm not criticizing it. They need teenagers. But it's something a teenager would suggest. Let the playoff team pick who it plays against.
I mean, I feel like the most baseball thing to do is if you're the team picking, you have to pick the best team because that's honorable, right? Not the worst team. Unwritten rule, Dan.
I mean, Dan, last year the Mets would have made the playoffs. I mean, under this format, the Mets would have made the playoffs. I mean, 86, 76, they make the playoffs. The D-backs would have made the playoffs last year, just 8 games above 500. I love it. More playoff games.
But I think it's just such an easy solution, and I'm not criticizing it. I'm thinking that baseball could, every time they have a problem, they could just say more playoff teams.
But what does it lack? Baseball lacks, more so than any sport, meaningful games. And this is providing viewers with more meaningful games. Who could not be for that? Who wouldn't be for that, honestly?
Well, let me ask you, how much criticism have you guys heard of this? Because the ones most likely to be upset by it are the people who are still going to baseball games. The fans you still have are the ones most likely to be bothered by this.
Criticism? I mean, the people that like baseball aren't on Twitter. I haven't heard any criticism. Universal praise. In fact, this is the first time that we've talked about baseball since all the cheating. So this is amazing.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Golic and Wingo will be live this Friday from Chicago for the NBA All-Star Game, brought to you by Marathon. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Joe Posnanski, one of the great sports writers in America and a baseball traditionalist at his core. He could talk about slugging percentage and bunts for an hour without stopping. Writes on Twitter, expanding the playoffs and making it so that the top teams can pick their opponents is what I would imagine a hacker doing to try and ruin baseball.
Mm-hmm. He's part of the problem.
I'm just telling you, they're out there. They are out there.
Joe Paz, I mean, listen, man, either conform or continue to be part of the problem, because he is part of the problem. It's him, Bob Costas, and George Will. That's it.
I can't believe you know what conform means.
I can't either. Here's your SportsCenter update. Major League Baseball is exploring changing its playoff format, including increasing the number of teams from 10 to 14 with 3 division winners and 4 wild card teams, and the best team in each league receiving a wild card round bye. Also, a reality TV element would be added to determine which teams play each other in an expanded wild card round, similar to an NCAA tournament selection show. Oh, my God, one and done. I love it. Card play.
It's not one and done. I feel like you have no idea what you're talking.
D'Angelo Russell scored 22
I love it.
points.
One and done. What's one and done?
I love it, man. Love it, man. What do you think they mean by that?
It should be one and done.
Love it. Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell scored 22 points in his Timberwolves debut versus as Minnesota lost to the Raptors, who extended their winning streak to 15 straight games. Nick Nurse could flat out coach. SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 to 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Dan LeBatard.
I canceled my ESPN Plus, but only for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Well, then I immediately went to Disney Plus and I subscribed for the bundle.
Oh, the bundle.
So I got not only Disney Plus, but ESPN Plus and Hulu.
Stugotz.
What were you excited to see on there that you had not seen?
I was scanning it. There's so many titles. There's like I said, That Darn Cat was on there. Gargoyles, a cartoon Darkwing Duck. The X-Men animated series with like the most fire theme music you could ever imagine. You remember that theme song, Dan?
This is the Dan LeBatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Diana Rossini going to join us in 1 hour, 11:30 a.m. Eastern on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil synthetic motor oils are made from natural gas, so the next time you get an oil change, ask for Pennzoil. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Here's your SportsCenter update. Major League Baseball is exploring changing its playoff format, including increasing the number of teams from 10 to 14, with 3 division winners, 4 wild card teams, and the best team in each league receiving a wild card round bye. Also, a reality TV element would be added to determine which teams play each other in an expanded wild card round, similar to an NCAA tournament selection show. D'Angelo Russell scored 22 points in his Timberwolves debut as Minnesota lost to the Raptors, who extended their winning streak to 15 games. And finally, a golden retriever named Finley, who broke the world record for stuffing tennis balls in his mouth with 6, has cruelly seen his tremendous efforts written off as not an official achievement. Despite evidence of the world record skill on Instagram, the strict paperwork rules put in place by the people at the Guinness World Records means he hasn't yet met the requirements to have it formally recognized. Got robbed. Seriously. Who's Guinness?
The keepers of the world records.
I mean, think about the ridiculous world records we're talking about.
I know, but there's one name you associate with records throughout the world, and it's Guinness.
And beer.
My personal record book, Finley has the record. How about that? SportsCenter brought to you by Bolt 24. It's advanced hydration for athletes off the field with antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolytes from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial flavors or sweeteners. Bolt 24, all-day hydration for all-day athletes. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So the Red Sox had